So today I'm cleaning the space. So I'm going to try and organize to the best of my ability today. I've got some old stuff, some new stuff. Probably should get a trash bag. And then I think I need to mail some people. Otherwise, I'm gonna clean. And then I am also where I'm losing my train of thought. So Freddie really likes this room too. She likes it when someone's in here, because then she can be herself. But overall, I thought I'd bring in this cart since I've now, I built like one of those Five Below, like really cheap. It was $6 for like a little stand, and it's a decent size, and like we're stacking our shoes on that instead, because before we were just using this to keep them a little organized. So I'm gonna figure out what to do with this. I'm thinking accessible supplies, like things that don't take up the desk space anymore. For instance, doing something like this where I move a full-on supply item over, so then it's just slightly more organized. So yeah, and then throughout my stuff I have like little pictures of me and my partner, or like me and my family, or pictures of me when I was younger. So this cart can then move around, and then I have the ability to take supplies with me where I need them. I also have a bag full of what is that called? Just like random supplies that I have that I was gonna use for like journaling, and I've used them. I just want to use them more. So I figured what I can do is put them in this cart, easily accessible. And while I do that, I am more than halfway done with this book, and I'm enjoying it. There's only an hour and about 50 minutes left. It's the I'm Glad My Mom Died. Whoops, I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy. I love that she narrates it, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. So it's pretty intense, and I think it has a lot of really amazing components to it, and I'm really glad she wrote it, because it brings out a lot to the light of certain life stories that are very important to talk about. So I'm going to momentarily shut this off just so I can go get some more supplies to bring in here. I'm gonna clean up, I'm gonna move stuff around, and then from there I'm going to continue making things happen today. All right, bye-bye. So I'm really excited. My drawers need to get cleaned out, and then I also have these bins that I've had for a very long time. There's a few underneath this desk here, so I'm gonna see what I can do with that. It's $2.50. We'll see how far I can get into this. I know it may not be very far, but I'm trying to like give each item a home, if at all possible, and also just kind of make things work. Oh, I need this to get started.
The show has been over for 3.5 weeks, and the story the press has run with is that it ended because I was upset that my co-star was getting paid more than me, which is upsetting to me because it's untrue.
Emmanuel.
See, you gotta go for hands.
Well, you lost it, ma'am. She picked it up. She had it in her paw. Where'd it go? Whew. So, I finished. I'm glad my mother died. Finished it earlier today when I was hanging out. I paused this so I could eat something earlier with my partner. And then I went to trivia and we got third place. So we got a nice little gift card. The bird sound is Freddie playing with a cat toy that chirps. So now I've just been kind of clearing this stuff up. I was gonna like take this in the living room. And then I do have a lot of stickers and stuff. So I'm trying to figure out if I just want to keep them out and like available in one of the bins or if I want them to be somewhere else. I feel like I just have like maybe I should like get like one of those like fanned out like file things, like a file folder, and I can sort them by like celestial, fandom, yada yada yada. I have a lot that I use with clients too, so I have a lot of stickers at my internship right now. And this is Freddie. You saying hello to the stickers? Okay now. And then in this one I have tons of pens, more washi tape, pencils, yeah, and then I have another one, this one I have highlighters upon highlighters and pens. So I'm going to try to figure out what to do with this for now. I think what I'm going to do is put the stuff I use a lot of, maybe I can fit in here, empty this out and do something with this. Otherwise, I think that's all. And then here is somewhat of an update of the drawers over here. So I was working on these. I have these little boxes, so I sorted them. So I've got my wax seal sets. I've got just like a random with some batteries. These are like tape and erasing. And then these is my staplers, my staples. These are 2 pencil kits, and then I figured my sticky notes could go right here, so that's that. And then this one's just kind of like a random assortment of things for now. That might change. And this is Freddie.
Go. 미안해.
This is just a really real moment about a response to a book. So, books are regardless of fiction, nonfiction, they hit our hearts in different ways. And they help us connect and experience like human moments. And for me, clearly, I haven't had some breathing here, but I wanted to have a real moment where, whether or not I share this, I have it, because it's a reminder as to why I read and why I connect and why I work in the field that I work in. I am crying because I read I'm Glad My Mother Died by Jennette McCurdy, and I'd already filmed my response to that. Not like a critique, but yesterday I did my evening cleanup of the office I was in, and I had recorded it for the vlog that I'm doing, and I read that book in a matter of 4 days, and then I usually take a longer time to read books, but I have time to read. So I've been cleaning around the house, doing different things, and like multitasking by listening to the books that I'm listening to. And I read it in such a quick pace, and it was really impactful. When I was reading it, I was really taken aback because I actually am always fascinated by the film and movie and entertainment industry, and I've always been interested in childhood stars. I even imagine as a therapist I can I don't know, work with them one day. We'll see. But I have this like affinity for wanting to work with those clientele in the future, because it's just I'd love to empathize with people that don't experience a lot of empathy from the public, because it's like, oh, they have money and they're rich, and it's like, okay, well, first of all, the money they get paid, there's a whole, like, I could just go into it, but Jennette McCurdy kind of explains some of what she had to go through as a child, particularly, like, they were very poor. They were living the paycheck to paycheck life. Mom was a hoarder. Mom was dying from cancer. Just a lot of things that go into a life that she experienced. So she wasn't like, you know, riches to riches kind of a thing, like some artists and people are. So I find that population interesting, and a lot of it comes with parental things like egocentric parenting, a lot of stress, and development is hard. It's difficult for people who experience egocentric parenting. So, mind you, I avoid using the word narcissist. I think saying someone is a narcissist is a heavy accusation. I think that there are a lot of nuances to the idea of calling someone a narcissist. It's easy just to say, oh yeah, they're a narcissist. Everyone has narcissistic traits. This is narcissism in a way. Like, engaging with a camera, putting it out there. But more narcissism would be like taking selfies with, selfies themselves, or ussies. when you take them with other people. But selfies are generally more of a narcissistic, like the narcissism goes up because you're focused on yourself in a way that it's particularly like you're focusing and boosting your ego. So in a way, mind you, this is just my mental health opinion. I'm not extending that is the same opinion of all medical professionals, nor am I saying I know the most about this subject. So I had, okay, so back to the reason why I was sobbing. 'Cause I was talking with a friend about the book, and then I started typing about what it did to me, because I grew up, in my adolescence, I started to count calories for other reasons, like different things started happening. Weight was a major conversation that I was always having, regardless of with whom. I had a harsh view of myself. Whether from influences in familial conversations, in friend conversations, in the world, like just hearing things. The worst thing in the world was to be fat. And I'd always have to make excuses and talk like, well, I'm the healthy kind of fat. I work out and I'm healthy and I avoid sugar and sodium, and I do all these diets, and I was doing the master cleanse when I was 15 years old. Like, between 15 and 18, I did the master cleanse, which if nobody knows, I recommend just Googling it, but I was doing the master cleanse at 15 years old. My body's not done developing. I was, and that's the thing that Beyonce would do to go down a dress size. Like, that's where a lot of people would quote about it, like, for her, like, performances, what have you. I don't know if that's true. It's just, I'm speculating based on, like, that was the quote that people would say for people to do it. So, it's compiled of you drink things. And I feel like if you're not in the headspace to avoid doing it, then I don't recommend looking into it. So I had a lot of things said to me. I had a lot of impressions from society. Society, I think, is the biggest problem. And that's why I have a book I'm reading, Fearing the Black Body. I've only read like a few chapters, and I don't know right now if I'm in a mental headspace to continue reading it. So, from reading Jennette McCurdy's book, I've been able to reflect on my own experience. There's a lot. Particularly, my partner didn't know what a calorie was. And he's like, I'm in a position of privilege because I've never had to think of those things. He is very straight-sized. He can, the phrasing used is like, you can eat whatever you want. It's like, no, that's not even right. Like, saying stuff like, oh, you can eat whatever you want is already creating a toxic environment to spread. Like, just one comment like that is a seed. A negative, awful seed that spreads into, well, you can do this as long as you weigh this. You can do this. BMI doesn't mean anything. It's a math equation. So health professionals are changing. They're looking at HAES, health at every size. People are working towards positive change because it doesn't equate, like, weight isn't synonymous with health. We know this. Also, weight is not a moral thing. So, like, being a certain type of person, like, if you eat certain things, like, that are considered unhealthy and not the good kind of fuel for a body, see the language good, like, good, bad. removing those words help with understanding more about the body and the mind. So not making it a moral failing, because moral failings bring guilt, and guilt brings shame, and it brings like what was mentioned in Jennette's book, which is that slippery slope down into negativity, which can then perpetuate worse disordered eating and worse mental health. Making something immoral is just, it makes things so much worse. It's not productive, and it creates such a negative context of conversation, especially for people with disordered eating or any other types of body image issues. I didn't come here to do a huge tangent. I do want to work on body image things with my research. The reason I've been crying about the book, and like it hit me majorly this morning, afternoon now, but the major reason that really affected me is that I realized how many years, how many meals, how many days, how many hours that I have spent thinking about food and having such a horrible relationship with it. Constantly feeling the need to justify what I eat. If I eat in public with people, I feel like there's this part of the book she talks about, it was either chapter 88 or 89. She talks about how there's two conversations going on. There's the one that she's having with the person, and then there's the other conversation you're having in your head. And it's like, that is what disordered eating does. You have this, judge, jury, in your head saying, no, what are you doing? You can't eat that much. What are the calorie contents of that? And I mentioned my partner earlier about calories, and I went on like a 2-hour, practically PowerPoint presentation without the PowerPoint, clearly, about calories. And I was able to tell him how many calories were in like 20 different things. And it's like, it's programmed. And I spent so much time in my life, and I'm 30 now, so half of my life just with calorie counting, and half of my life with continuous judgment, and more than that, more than 15 years of the belief that my worth was dependent on my weight. The belief that I couldn't have fun with my life or do things with my life until I lost weight. I had to earn happiness. I had to earn the right to enjoy my life. Problem still is that there are constant reminders in my life, like in public, in society, that make the journey so much harder with recovery. Because the way that substance use is described is similar to what disordered eating and having an eating disorder feel like. Now, calorie counting was a thing. I wouldn't allow myself to eat more than 500 or 900 calories for many years. Now I've had a much better relationship with myself and my mental health when it comes to body image, because I try to really process and meditate on my worth not being defined by whatever number or whatever image that I give. And there are things in society, like I said, that make things very difficult. Constant phrases said. In my experience, a fat joke is still seen as completely acceptable by groups of people. No one says anything with fat jokes. So, like, people use that as an insult, and it's hurting the people around them. Disordered eating and disordered thoughts about food, what have you, the body, is dangerous. Perpetuating humor about fatness, perpetuating the idea of morality linked to weight, and making comments, even as small comments, can really damage a life. Personally, I've made a lot of progress. A lot of it is coming out in this video in terms of the things that I say and the actual research I've done. There's a difference between allocating information on Google and actually accessing journal articles, which I do have the privilege of. I acknowledge that being in school, I have the privilege of accessing journal articles, and I also have the privilege of saving those and talking about them with people. And I try to explain things in such a strongly opinionated society with such cognitive dissonance on body image. It's so difficult, and there are so many people met with so much backlash, and you still find that someone like, you talk about Jennette McCurdy, okay? She has a platform, she can talk about hers. She's still a very straight-sized person. But if I were to tell you or write a book or come from a perspective like many people do that are still larger sized individuals that come from a platform that try to explain something, a lot of people just completely disinherit, I don't know the right word, but they completely like disregard the opinion because the person is still fat. And fat is used interchangeably. For instance, like, to me, saying I'm fat is like saying I have brown eyes. Like, it's a fact of my existence and my image, right? Like, I don't correlate it to an insult anymore. Some people still do, so I acknowledge that there's that sensitivity with that, and I also recognize you, and like that is very difficult to talk about, especially if like fat has always been used as an insult in someone's life. So I feel like a lot of this has just been a rant. A lot of it has just been me providing examples of different things, and just, I feel like I can probably do a more cohesive thing in the future where I discuss it. Discounted, I think was the word. They'll discount, I think, the person's opinion. And even their experience. Like, oh, you don't have bulimia, you're still fat. Like, and that's a thing. Like, that's part of this video too. That's part of this experience too. And just kind of back to the damage of what society and people say about individuals, the comments and the little things in conversations. Setting boundaries and having those conversations. The damage it does, like, what have you in terms of what you've seen. There's binge eating disorder, bulimia, nervosa, anorexia, those different those different titles to different experiences. A lot of people experience multiples within their lifetime. And for me, I've been in recovery. It's called recovery. Like, it's a process of changing the thinking because it is addictive. It is a routine. It is something that constantly is knocking at the back door back here. It's here. There's this little door, like they say in addiction. There's that little door. If you try to open it, it's gonna open. And like, that little keyhole is there, and you can look into it, and you can remember what it was like distinctly. You can remember what you were doing, because it's very there's motivating factors. I am so grateful for Jennette McCurdy, and I feel honored to have read her story. I do recommend the book with trigger warnings. I support having people around you to discuss and to process these with. And I fully love and support you. So, with that, I would suggest you take your time. Don't live too fast. Troubles will come and they will pass. Because I'm a simple kind of man. It's one of those things, extending grace to yourself. It's not easy. It's not easy. And really sharing your story with people, regardless of if it's about body image, again, I love books. I can have these conversations with people and be vulnerable and talk to them. It was a very intense experience. So please be kind to yourselves. This was just a big rant, and hopefully I will have a more cohesive video and thought process. Okay. Bye. I had this for a while, and I don't remember where I got it. But it's the Ultimate Reading Challenge, and every time you complete one of these little goals, you get to pick out the prize. So this year I actually did complete a couple of these. So I did participate in a book club in online. So I participated in Books and Lala's book club, Literally Dead book club. Let's see, what is the prize? Oh, this is cute. It's like how you'll do like a library borrow. So author, title, due date, borrower's name. That's kind of cute. Could be a little post-it for leaving notes. Oh, I did reread a book that I loved as a child. So we'll open that one. It's like the sticky adhesive that shows up on the back of like gift cards and stuff. So it takes just a second to open. What does in here? Oh, book darts. Huh. So those are 2 prizes that I have so far. I did listen to a reading themed podcast recently. I can't think. Let me pull it up. So this is the book-related podcast, Book Reviews Kill. I only made it through a little bit of it. It actually started the episode over, but that's okay. So I plan to finish it actually, to kind of give it more shots, to just see kind of the different aspects to the podcast. The reason I found out about it was because my brother sent me a TikTok from it, and it was like like a filter like of the books and stuff. Let me see. This one.
Stopping the video, would we find a book that is better than The Catcher in the Rye? All right, it's got to be better than Catcher in the Rye. What do we got? Goodbye. Stopping the video, would we...
And he also has one that's like
There
books
books
to
that need to be
film.
turned into movies or TV shows today. We need 3 seasons of Red Rising. Stat, I think HBO can handle it, and I think Daniel Radcliffe should play Severo. These books are so fast-paced that...
So yeah, this podcast just seems kind of interesting. So that would be, what's in here? It's a pin that says what a lot of people feel. There we go. The book was better. And I don't think there's anything else right now. I'll have to come back to this. So yeah, this was really cool to kind of go through. And there are some prompts in here that are not related to specific books. But for instance, this one up here is about writing a letter to someone who has influenced your reading life. So that could be pretty much anyone. And then it's okay to make it anonymous. Yeah. So this would be kind of fun to finish. And oh, I guess I have read in a place I've never read before, because this is my newer place of living. Oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. This keychain. It's a typewriter. Very cool. So those are the prizes so far. And let's see. I got a couple more on here that I could probably pick out. But as of right now, we're gonna move on.